Hi, everyone. It's Mitch from pickdogs.com and sportschatplace.com. And as you guys saw from the title, it's how I started my websites. Actually, it was supposed to say part one, but didn't put it there. But yeah, that's what today's show is going to be about. Hopefully, you guys are doing awesome. We're on April 6th now. At least 3 more weeks, right, till we're allowed out of the house or out of our, however it is, whatever you guys live, condo, apartment, townhouse. I don't know. Hopefully you have a place where you can get outside and get some sun and hit some golf balls. As you can see, my Hawaiian tan is fading fast. But, these things will come back and, it's just the nature of the beast. But, I don't have the puck dogs with me today as I normally do. And it's weird because, I'm just used to these guys, right? And how awesome are they? I have to say that, I did videos by myself for how many years? 10, 12 years. 12 years of regular videos, a few years of live video. And I always did it by myself. And, now you get the puck dogs. I'm kind of used to these guys. And, we're not perfect. None of us are. It's like, I don't know. Sometimes I think Chris is sleeping through the show, or Rod is reading something. I have no idea. But when it comes time to talk about the games and put up the picks and all that stuff, those guys are always 100% there. So none of us are perfect. Believe me, I say things and do things all the time that prove that fact that I'm not perfect. But today's show is going to be a little bit different, going to be off the sport subject a little bit, and I'm going to talk about how I started my websites. I get this question all the time. I get it all the time. It's out there on the internet. It is weird without the puck dogs, but I just didn't think that this was not a show for them. So I just felt like, give them a day off, and I'm sure they'll be active in the Facebook group because it's weird, for them to probably not be on. But, we'll probably do a few shows like this, because like I said, this is probably just part one of this type of video. I'm going to do, how I started the websites, and things like that. And I know that, part of the reason why I wanted to do this, there's a couple reasons why I wanted to do this show, even though a lot of this information is already out there on the internet, is number one, I get the question all the time to people, how do I start a website? How do I do a podcast? How do I do YouTube? How do I do this stuff? How do I get started? And I'm going to tell you guys that today. On exactly what I did, and whether that'll work for you, if that's something you want to do, that's great. The second reason I want to do it, and I know this isn't going to work, and it's not going to matter, is I have a lot of haters out there, like anybody else. The more popular, the more people that watch your shows, the more people that visit your websites, the more out there you get. And we're going to talk about this. The more often it's going to happen that someone's going to come by who's a hater, and it's funny, I've only met in my entire life a handful of people that have websites the size that I have. Okay, I've only met less than 5. The rest of the people that have websites this size are companies. Even a lot of my competitors are that have the big websites like Covers and Vegas Insider. I would consider the only 2 websites out there that are bigger than mine in this industry. They are owned by companies, and by big companies, and they have teams of people and stuff like that. It's rare that you meet a guy who's sitting in his living room in Hawaii that does a show like this, that owns a website that gets millions and millions of visitors. And like I said, I've met less than 5 in my life, and really probably less than 3, But I met one recently, and her name's Holly Homer, and she's a mom blogger, and this is kind of jumping ahead a little bit, and I'll probably go back and talk about Holly a little bit later. But I said to Holly after I met her, I said, "You're not alone." I said it's crazy that people still hate us, even though we haven't really given them all that much reason to. And she's like, if you think they're bad, I said, I lose a game, you'd act like I killed somebody. She's like, I'm a mom blogger. She's like, she goes, it's no different. It's like, I guess the moms are just really tough on any kind of parenting advice or suggestions. And I guess they're even worse than some of my haters. But we're going to address the haters here, and we're going to address a lot of the issues that they've brought up with me over the years and things that they've said about me over the years, and show you how most of it, they're not even close. They're not. It's like, it's ridiculous. But I don't expect any of them to watch this, because most people that have that kind of stance, they hate facts, right? They hate facts. So it's like they're going to disregard them and run as far away from them as they can. They're going to bury their head in the sand. And I've worked with a lot of people that do that as well, where they hate the facts. So what they do is they think that by ignoring them and burying their head in the sand, that they go away. But they don't. It just gets way, way worse, and especially if you're up against someone like me. And, after that, we'll see how much time we have left. Like I said, this is likely just part one, but let's get rolling with it. And, the first thing about starting a website in general is you have to start with something that you absolutely love, all right? You have to absolutely love it, because on your very worst day, on the day when you don't feel it, and you guys know, I've shown up here from the hospital, I've shown up here from Target, I've shown up here from Walmart, I've done the show from the dentist office, I've done this show from everywhere, right? Everywhere. Vacation, Vegas, Boston, it doesn't matter. I have no excuses. I show up every single day. And the whole thing is that some days, even though I smile and look into the camera, and a lot of times you guys know when I'm not in the mood to do the show, but on my very worst day, I can sit here and talk about sports and sports betting because I love it, right? So you have to start with a subject that you absolutely love. And it's like, if you don't love it, like, why don't I give out hockey picks? Right? Why don't I give out hockey picks? I'll talk about hockey with the Puck Dogs only because I like the Puck Dogs, right? And I'll whatever I can interject, and they kind of have educated me to the point where I can even discuss hockey, right? Confidently, even get in the discussion. I'm not going to give out my picks, like as a premium picks or anything of that nature, but they've educated me enough that that I feel that I can get in on the discussion. But if my first blog was about hockey, I wouldn't be here talking to you today, because it's not something that I love. It's not something I grew up with, and it's not something that's in my blood. So my first website was about college football, and it was called College Football Place, CFB Place. And a lot of you guys were with me back then, which is pretty amazing. But my first site was CFB Place. Everyone knows I grew up with college football. I love college football. And what happened is I used to work in an office, and I had a day job, and I was a clerk at an investment firm. And I've documented my life and the ups and downs, and the battles that I've had, right? The off the court battles with with the good stuff or the bad stuff, or however you want to call it. But the battles that I had in the past with that stuff. And I landed at this job in Chicago, and I was a clerk at an investment firm. And I used to send out an email to my friends, and it would be something like, 10 college football games that I was going to, 10 college football picks for the week. And I would write a little blurb about every game. And I would say, like, I saw Charlie Weiss over, when he was coaching Notre Dame. I saw Charlie Weiss over at Wrigley Field a couple weeks ago. He was wearing that striped Cubs jersey. Didn't have that slimming effect that he was hoping for. Love Michigan in this one. Something like that. I would just write stuff like that up, and I would mail it out to my friends. Sometimes it was straight facts about the game. Other times it was just something putting down, or a joke about a team or a person, or something that might have happened that day. Like, oh, I had great tacos for lunch, or something like that. Loved Memphis here. It'd be stuff like that. But people told me, you should start a blog. You should start a blog. And one day I had a bad day at work, and I typed into Google, how do you start a blog? And that is how I got started. So the difference between me, everyone always says your site is different. You're different than the other guys, right? You guys say this all the time, and you hear people say this to me all the time. You're different from the other guys, right? You're different from them. You're not like, and I'm legally not allowed to say some of the other sites out there. Some of them I can say, but I'm not going to give them the free plug. But you're not like the other guys, right? You're not like the other handicapping sites. You're not sleazy like the other ones. You're not, a money grubber like the other ones. Because I don't come from the sports handicapping genre, I didn't start my website as a business. I didn't start my websites to make money. I didn't start my websites to scam anyone. Sorry to disappoint you guys, and you know who you are. I didn't start College Football Place for any of those reasons, except I wanted a platform to talk about college football and give out my picks. That's the only reason I started the website. And that is the truth. And the first 2 years of College Football Place, the first 2 full years of the site, I never made one dime. We never had one ad on the site. We never sold one thing. We never did anything. I paid for 100% of it out of my pocket. What happened is that I was working on at that point, so after college football season ended, and those of you that were around, you remember this, what happened was college football season ended, and everyone, at that point we had about 3,000 readers a day, which is pretty good for a brand new website. And I was doing video. I guess I could go back a little bit on that and say I've always done video. I was the first guy to do video pics. I was the first one. I know that there were some shows out there that Jim Feist had with Dave Koken, Al McCourty, and guys like that. He'd have on the show. But they never did like daily videos. They did a Saturday show, and they would say, call this number and do this, and I got a winner on the side, and all the stuff that other guys do. And, that's Jim's shtick. And, I mean, if you're going to, there's nothing you can really criticize about Jim Feist or Dave Koken or any of those guys. That's how they do things, and that's their thing, and that's the industry that they grew up in, and that's the industry that they created as well. So, while I don't work with any of those guys directly, I don't have feelings one way or the other about them. It's just, like I said, I started as a blogger. These guys are sports handicappers, and it's just a different mindset. And that's the difference between my site and some of those other sites, is that it's a different mindset. So I was the first one to look on a daily basis, go on YouTube and look at everybody square in the eye and give out my picks and show up, every day, regardless, win, lose, draw, whatever. It didn't matter. And I covered all the games. And back then we didn't cover an article for every game. It was just me doing all of the writing. So I wrote up like 5 games per article. So every day I would release a new article and had 5 games in it. And then by the time we got to Saturday, we had a lot of the games covered by then. So generally like 50 games a week is what I would cover. A lot of the small games would get left out. It didn't matter. But that's what it was back then. It was College Football Place, and that's what we did. But when college football ended that year, I had a lot of people already that were kind of rabid fans at the time. And a lot of people wrote me emails saying, what are you going to do when college football is over? You should write a site about college basketball. And I got to say that without the puck dogs here, it's weird that I'm doing all the talking this long. I keep looking to the side for the guys, and they're not here, to kind of give me a little bit of a break. But, so I was like, with college basketball, I can't possibly do it because there's way too many games. But what happened was over the course of the next few weeks, I got emails from not thousands, but I would say tens of people, right? I'm not going to exaggerate it way up. More than 10 people saying that they wanted to be part of what I was doing, that they were excited about what I was doing, and that they wanted to be part of it. And that even though that my site wasn't as big as some of the other sites that already existed at the time, that they felt that this was something that was going to be very big, and they all wanted to be a part of it. And at that point, I wasn't making any money. So the people that wrote on my site back then wrote for free. They wrote because they loved it. And I'll tell you what, Mark was one of those guys that stayed with me all the way until last year. And he of course, once we started making money, everyone gets paid and all that kind of stuff. But Mark originally wrote for free. And I'll tell you what, down to the very end, he would have still wrote for free if he would have had to. It's like, because he loved it. And it was kind of like, everyone that comes and writes at Sports Chat Place now, back then I had College Football Place, and then I started another site called College Basketball Place. And then after college basketball season is when I merged everything, and that's when Sports Chat Place was born, which was kind of like a hub for everything. But by the time college basketball was over, I had gotten all sorts of emails saying, can I cover NBA on your site? Can I cover NFL on your site? Can I cover all of this? And I knew we were onto something where we were going to cover more than just college football and college basketball. We were going to cover all sorts of sports. So rewinding a little bit and going back to the topic here of how did I start my websites, I started small with one concentrated area that I loved, and that was college football. And as things grew, and as they organically grew, and as the demand organically grew, that's when we expanded into the other sports. The first sport that we expanded into was college basketball. Then people said they wanted to write NBA basketball. It was Dan from Australia who did that, and Peter, who still writes NBA on the site. Okay. Then we had a bunch of guys writing college basketball. We had 9 college basketball writers back then, our first year. And then we had so guys said they wanted to do NFL. And then what happened is the guys that said they wanted to do NFL didn't show up. But by then, I had enough people that were going to write college football as well. So I covered NFL. But that summer, I had no one to cover baseball. So during that transition period from college basketball to the end, because we didn't cover NBA at that point, I did baseball and I only did videos. That's all I did. And then I wrote up the second half of the summer. We started doing baseball write-ups, and I did 100% of those write-ups myself. In fact, people would see me writing all the time because it took me basically all day to write up 15 games a day. People would see me doing that, and they thought I was crazy. They were like, "You don't even make money doing this. Why are you doing this?" By this point, I had been fired from my job, my regular day job, because I was working on the websites the whole time. But by the time we got back to NFL football, I had someone that wanted to write hockey, and that was Kyle, who is still with us on and off. We had a team of college football writers. We had a team of college basketball writers. And none of us were making any money at all. And it was at that point where I started getting emails from readers saying, what are your best bets for today? What are your best bets for today? And this was about college football and to this day, people still say college football is my best sport. Even though my record in college football isn't always the best, people still think that my insight in college football is usually spot on. Sometimes I get a little carried away, and I'll admit that as well. But what happened then was people said, why don't you create an area to put your best bets, and that's how the premium area happened. They said, we'll pay you if you do that. We'd love to support you. We love what you're doing. You should have an area where you put your best bets every day. And that's how the premium area was born for me. Other guys were out there on the internet selling their picks for, $100 or $85. Back then there was the phone rooms still. And there are some people out there that say that I took down the phone rooms, and I don't know if I single-handedly took down the phone rooms, but I believe that by giving out the amount of free content that we give out, and we still continue to give out, not everybody is happy about that. They'd rather see you guys pay for it, and I'd rather see you guys not pay for it. So what I had to do at that point was we launched the premium area, and I even said to people, I'm like, no one's going to pay for this, and I'm going to have to build something. And, I don't build it myself. I have tech people that do this. So I'm going to have to pay somebody to do this, and I'm not making any money. How much do you think people will pay? And people were like, $200 a month. I was like, no way. So when we launched the premium area, the initial price of the premium area was $28.99, and I'll tell you, there was an overwhelming response to it. Hundreds of people bought it. So and that's how it was launched. So the premium area was never launched to scam people. It was never launched to do anything else but provide an area where I put my best bets and to stop getting all the emails from everybody. And the idea of charging people for that was merely to cover the expenses of the website, which were mounting at that point. To host a website, so to backpedal a little bit here, well, not backpedal, but I guess back it up. I'm not backpedaling off anything I say or do. But, backing up a little bit, to host, so to actually start the website, when I came up with the idea that I'm going to actually have a website, I typed into Google, how do I start a website, right? I mean, this is what we do. And I got a domain name, which at the time was cfbplace.com, college football place. It was called cfbplace.com. And then you need a hosting plan to put that on. And, on the hosting plan, basically, it's where the site is housed on the internet. So when you go on the internet to our websites, it's not like the websites are at a physical address or something. They're hosted on a server on the internet. I don't really understand the ins and outs. So maybe we'll get our tech guys on here. That would be really exciting. But maybe we'll get Ryan Thrash on here one day and mind-blowing stuff on how they keep the website up on the internet. But servers and all that other stuff cost money. While it's free for everybody to come to the website and everything like that, like, it costs a lot of money to keep the website up. And back then, when you're not making a lot of money, we're not making any money, and the cost of hosting the website because of the web traffic is increasing and increasing, at a certain point, once you pass that $1,000 a month range, it's kind of now all of a sudden you have real expenses, So you have the hosting expense, there's other expenses, there's the tech expenses. So getting the money from the premium area was kind of a welcome relief for me at that point. And, as much as that wasn't my intention when I started the website, it certainly was a way for people, because people ask me all the time now when I do the Pick Dogs on the video channel, they're not familiar with our websites as much, and reaching those people on YouTube. But the Pick Dogs channel, people always want to donate money. They always email me, how can I donate money? How can I donate money? It's like, we don't really take straight donations, but if you want to buy a premium pick or something like that, that's the best way to do it. Buy, spread knowledge, do something, get something. And that's the way to support us. And that's the way we're always going to be. We're never going to take straight donations. But, so we had all sorts of expenses and things that were starting to mount at the time, too. At the same time, I got an email from USA Today Sports who said that they wanted to run advertising on our website. And I was like, well, I don't have that many visitors that I can make that much out of advertising. They said, we've seen websites like yours before. Your website's going to be gigantic. And I just figured they would know, So, what made the sites successful at that time, even though they weren't nearly at the level that things are now, what made them successful at the time is the same things. I was writing about something that I loved, and we were covering something that I loved, that was sports, and we were doing it in an authentic way. Even when it wasn't just me creating the content, because we had more content than I could just cover by myself. I only brought people on who were 100% all in. These guys weren't making any money at all. They were willing to. They loved writing about sports and sports betting so much. They were willing to do it for free. And I'm not saying now that we make money and things are where they are now that I would expect people to work for free. Doesn't happen, right? Nobody works for free at Sports Chat Place or Pick Dogs. I get emails from people all the time saying, I'll work for free. But, um, you know, that's what maintains us is our authenticity. And I think to this day, when people say your website is different than everybody else's, your sites are different than everybody else's, you're different than everybody else, it's our authenticity. It's that I never started as a guy with this money-making plan and this money-making scheme that I'm going to have advertising, I'm going to sell premium picks, and I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing to make money. I started as a website to talk about college football, and everything else just happened. And that is really 100% the truth. And for anybody out there that wants to start a website or a podcast or a YouTube channel, start with a topic that you absolutely love, that on your worst day, you can talk about it from here. Because you guys know, sometimes I talk from here, right, when I'm giving out stats and stuff like this. Sometimes I'm talking from here, right? I don't even use my head, right? I just start woofing crap out. And you guys know that, when that's happening. But it all comes from here. It comes from my love of what I'm doing, not from trying to make a few bucks, and that's really the bottom line. So I'm going to cut this one off right there is a good point. And then next time out, when we get back to this topic, I'm going to tell you guys, what happened after that, how I expanded on, when I built Picks and Parlays, my second website was after Sports Chat Place. I built Picks and Parlays. And then after that, of course, Pick Dogs, our newest one. And some things that happened along the way. But anyways, going to cut it off there. I think that's a good stopping point. So basically to sum up everything we talked about today, that when you start a website, God, I wish I knew when it was all going to be over. I can't wait to, get back and talking about sports again. Because like I'm saying in these videos, it's like, this is what I love to do. It's not just what I do for a living. It's also what I love to do. So it's kind of the double whammy. And I know a lot of you guys, it's the same way, right? It's like you spend hours and hours and hours every day, 365 days a year. It's like we don't take a break for Christmas. We don't take a break for the holidays. We don't take anything like that. We do it and we continue to do it, and that's what we love about it, is that it's this thing that just keeps going and going and going and going and going. But so in order to be able to do that, you have to love what you do. And I know it's not just me. And I think that has always been part of the common bond that I've had with everybody out there, is that we all love sports. We all love sports. And I think a lot of the times, honestly, when I have the conflict with people in the audience, number one, there's people that they're just bad guessers, right? They just guess poorly about what they think our intention is and who we are and what we're all about, right? Because they don't like it that they don't have a job or that they go to a job that they don't enjoy. But I think for the most part, and the reason why we have so many people, and the reason why so many people, whenever I say something about those people, they always say, why do you even give these guys the time of day? Is because we all share that common bond, is that we love sports, and we love it all the same. And you guys know that, because, I'm not just sitting here bullshitting to sell you a premium pick or anything like that, because I don't need to do that to sell a premium pick. The people that want to buy premium picks from me are going to buy premium picks from me. The people that don't, they're not going to. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're fine. We have so many people that read our website. So many. That it more than covers everything. I have a great life. I've worked for all of it. I'm not saying like, oh, you guys, provided all this, but you did. But at the same time, I think we've provided a lot as well. I mean, a real lot. We do over 3,000 articles a month for free. We do live shows every day. I do at least 2 a day, and try and do even more than that. But we'll get back. We'll do more. We'll talk about podcasting as well. My podcasts that I've had over the years, and plans to start another one. We're going to talk about expanding beyond Sports Chat Place. But yeah, I just wanted to reach out, and tomorrow I'll be back with the Puck Dogs, and then we'll pick this back up. Maybe we'll do this every Monday until that's what we'll do. We'll do it Mitch Mondays. Anyways, this is Mitch. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you guys tomorrow with the Puck Dogs, and then we'll pick up this conversation. But if you have any questions about starting a website or how you get started, the nuts and bolts of it and stuff like that, Mitch at pickdogs.com, Mitch at sportschatplace.com. I'm around. Have a great day, everyone. I'll be chipping balls out in the yard thinking about, man, I would just love to see the Lakers blow that cover laying 11. See you guys later.